What's up, you guys? So a couple months ago, I did I guess, not necessarily an article, but a post talking about a Chaos Breaker deck profile that I did that I actually used to win this mat during the Vanguardians first tournament, hosted by John Mineham. Mint him. So I'm about to actually ship this deck off, and before I say my last goodbyes, I want to do an actual deck profile, uh, even just for myself, so that I have it. That way, in the future, I can kind of even look back and think about my thoughts about a deck for this format because personally, this is one of my favorite formats. We're about to get into Legion with Stride, and it's going to be a giant cluster of I'm actually not even sure. I don't think anyone's sure what's going to happen. But before that happens, I'm going to go ahead and go through this deck profile and share my thoughts on it and things like that. So the starter I use is Dusttail. If your opponent has a locked unit, you can counterblast one, put it into soul, lock another unit. It helps sets up triangle locks, even just front row locks. It's really just a great card. Some players play the Grade 3 Searcher, but I have a very strong bias against Grade 3 Searchers in most decks, so I choose the Unicorn instead. Whoop. So for triggers, I play 4 Stellar Garage, heal trigger. I play 4 Meteor Liger and 3 White Soldiers. Uh, so 7 crit, and then I'm also playing 5 draws, but I'm playing 4 Ferris and 1 Nebula Captor. I chose 5 draw, 7 crit because this deck isn't actually like when Chaos Breaker came out. Lots of people thought that it was a hyper aggro deck and that it was going to shut down the meta. But it's really a control deck. You're controlling what your opponent has, you're controlling their resources, choosing what to lock if you lock their starter or something like that. You gain control, and that's what this deck is about. It's not necessarily about power. If you wanted a power build, most players would go with Nebula Lord or something like that, even though it's considered less tier. Alright, so 5 draw to help really be defensive and things like that. Uh, I like 5/7. It's one of my favorite lineups. So for grade ones, play 4 Palladium, part of the whole Chaos Breaker combo. For those of you who don't know what it is, I'll get into it in a little bit once I get through the grade threes, but very vital to the deck, and I think running 4 of them is just great. I'm also playing 4 Lanthanum. Gets +2 whenever your opponent has a locked card due to one of your effects. So if you're playing this against Rebirth, it doesn't suddenly become giant beefcake or anything like that. But so play 4 of those. Play 4 Perfect Shields. Basically, in any meta, I feel like 4 Perfect Shields is just a must. I mean, I've tried playing 3 and things like that. Uh, but really, it's just, I like playing 4. Most people should play 4 in most decks. With Quintet Walls, you can see some different variations, but definitely 4. So I play 2 Neon. These are the 10k attackers for Star Vader. Uh, you can call that with Colony Maker if you really just need a rush on turn 3 and your opponent's at grade 2. It helps out. Only playing 2 because I rather play Lanthanum and Palladium and Promethium. All the P's. Alright, so grade 2s. So I play 4 Radon. So 4 12k attackers. Same thing as Neon, but definitely one of the best cards in the deck. Always have it whenever you can. 12Ks are just always good. And then I play 4 Neobium. Neobium is actually my spirit animal. But he's actually one of my favorite cards in the deck. Get same thing as Lanthanum, gets +2 every time something's locked. But against those 11k vanguards, if you're kind of struggling and you can only have one on board or something like that, using Chaos Breaker's skill to lock one, it still becomes an 11k, and so it's able to hit, which is really important against decks like Vague and things like that. Even though Vague is usually at 13, but things like that. For the rest of the grade twos, we play 3 Colony Maker, counterblast one when it's placed on rear guard. If your opponent has a locked unit, you can call a grade one, or I think it's grade one or less. Yeah, grade one. I want to make sure it wasn't like grade one only, but grade one or less Star Vader from your deck and call it to rear guard circle, then shuffle your deck. So what I was saying earlier is it's not like a Tar 2 or Mana where it has to be in the same column. You can call anything behind it or anything like that. You can also call the other rear guards, but that way, if you're struggling, you could play it and then call Neon here and then attack and attack. But 4 is too much, 2 is too little. Colony Maker is really great. So now, finally, I'm gonna get through the grade threes, and it's actually a really standard lineup now. When I built the deck, I kind of came up with this idea on my own, and then I started doing research online and found out that a whole bunch of Japanese players were doing it, and then it kind of power creeped over here, and so we started doing it. So I felt a little bit more unoriginal about it, but uh, Forest Starvator, Infinite Zero Dragon, Break Ride. When you break ride on top of it, gets plus your Vanguard gets +10. You choose one in the front and one in the back and lock it. Uh, Really great for the deck. Really helps out. I think it's one of the most important cards for the deck, to be honest with you. Not break raiding and just riding Chaos Breaker is going to usually be an uphill battle, just because the the advantage that you get from locking 2 units is tremendous. Never mind that you can draw 2 off of it later, but definitely one of the best cards in the deck. I wouldn't play less than 4 because dropping cameras. Well, oh well. So I also play 3 Chaos Breaker Dragon, main boss of the deck. For those of you who don't know what it does, it's Counterblast, or it's Axial, I should say. It's Counterblast 1. Choose a card with Starvator in its name from your hand and discard it. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards and lock it. This ability cannot be used for the rest of the turn. So you just Counterblast 1, ditch 1. Every card in the deck Starvator. So you just ditch 1, lock one of their units. But its limit break is Soul Blast 1 card with Starvator. Once again, every card in the deck is Starvator, so it's not that bad. Soul Blast 1, retire that unit and draw a card during the end phase when it gets unlocked. So the combo this deck really became popular with was during the end phase of your opponent's turn or whatever. We'll say we have a damage. So it's their end phase. They unlock their stuff. You can Counterblast 1, use Palladium skill to relock the unit, but because of check timings and things like that, because that unit has been unlocked, you can then Soul Blast and draw, even though you don't retire, because it's not a if you retire draw skill. It's just a if it happens, do it. But so that's the combo that became really prevalent. That's why I'm playing 4-3, I should say. But one of the favorite combos of the deck, really powerful, and being able to relock things in general is great, but being able to draw off of it too really helps the consistency of the deck. So the last card of the deck, as I said earlier, it's not that original anymore, but I play 1 Nebula Lord. I really like Nebula Lord. I think he's a great card, but because, as I said way earlier, this deck's more of a control deck, so being able to play a powerhouse like this, say you don't get Chaos Breaker or something like that, and you're just stuck on that uphill battle, you're losing, so you can break ride, lock 2, and then because you're in limit break, all units in your front row, it doesn't have to be Starvator. Yeah, all your front row Link Joker, including himself, gets +3 for each locked. So if you wanted to, you could break ride, use that to set up a triangle lock, or he has a skill where it's Counterblast 2, lock one of your opponent's back row, you could do that, and just get a crazy strong column, or not column, entire front row, just going for a. In the tournament that I played, it was done through Cardfight Area, but in the tournament that I played, I actually played against the tournament host, and I was getting wrecked. And when I was playing, and I was really scared that I was going to get knocked out of the top 8. But after being grade stuck for I think 2 turns, I don't have the replay anymore, but after 2 turns, I top deck Nebula Lord. Well, I think it's Nebula Lord, and I was stuck on Infinite Zero, so I wasn't actually grade locked words. But yeah, so either I broke road and I locked 2, and then everything was super strong, and I was able to go for game. Or if it's the other way, like I said, it was a while ago, I was on grade 2, stuck, right over, and then just kind of went ham and counterblasted 4 for his skill twice, locking 2 of his back row, and then used my unicorn to lock a front row. So I locked 3 units, giving my entire front row +9, and it really, really was able to help me win the game. I didn't win that turn, but afterwards, after that advantage, I made him discard his whole hand. Really helped me stay in the ball, and I think it was just really, really close. But all right, you guys, like I said, this isn't a very serious deck profile, and I'm not really that concerned about dropping the camera or anything like that, just because it's more of a reminiscent of past meta and things like that. I really like the deck. If you like the deck too, definitely check out whatever. Try this build if you want to. It's my favorite build that I've ever made with this deck, especially with Glendios coming out, or I guess he's already out. You're going to see less and less of these decks anyways, so might as well just take a look at it while it's still there. Alright, thanks for watching, you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any suggestions for the deck or anything like that, feel free to message, or not message, but comment in the section. And if you like the video, subscribe and you'll get more. It's simple as that. Have a good one, you guys.